Okay, welcome to this webinar, series of webinar. In this webinar, we're actually going to discuss how to start development and Power Apps with AI. And I wanted to, let me just start my slides here. I really wanted to start this and really just kind of jump ahead with this series because we hear about AI and we hear about all the goodness it can do. And I'm super afraid that some of us are not taking it as serious as we should be because most of the examples or most of the fanfare that we get is all around how it can generate images, how it can generate text, and how it can generate video, how smart it is, how it responds. And some of us are unable to connect the dots with how we can use it for business. And this is what I wanted to use this webinar to do is one, kind of share my experience on using Power Apps and Power Platform in general with AI and some of the other features and capabilities you have. How does that mean? How does that work with Copilot? How does that work with Azure OpenAI and Azure AI Studio? So you have even in all of this is all within the compound or confounds of the Microsoft 365 platform. So we all on this call, if we're using Microsoft 365 platform, we have access to these tools. The biggest question is, how do you get skilled up? And if you're a business leader or if you're a department leader, how do you leverage your area to take advantage of AI? And that's what I'm gonna do here, okay? So let's do this. Let's go ahead and get through these slides. Again, I want to cover my experience. I want to talk about Copilot, Azure, OpenAI, and ChatGPT because at the surface, it may seem like you can use either one of these, but each one of these have their own lane and they have their own capabilities of what they're really are good at. So when you look at Copilot, for an example, especially recently in Microsoft Build, Microsoft has recently redefined the capabilities of Copilot. Initially, it was a companion. Initially, it was just something that you would pop in, drop in some text, and it would kind of help you generate an email or find documents or help you with your PowerPoint slides or help you refine text, so on and so forth. But now it's more than that. Us as app developers or pro developers, we need to understand that you can create your custom Copilot and what exactly does that mean. So I'm going to walk you through Copilot Studio. We're going to walk through that. And then I'm going to touch on Azure OpenAI. Now, this is the piece, Azure OpenAI is the piece that opens it up and brings AI into your Power Platform. I'm very excited about this because now you can leverage what you already know on how to create Power Apps, how to create the Power Automate, and you're just using the HTTP request action within Power Automate. You're calling this AI, which is just an API that's hosted in Azure, is safe, and then you're going to get responses back, and then you can continue on doing what you need to do. So we're going to talk about prompt engineering. We're going to talk about how do you design, how I'm designing my framework. I call it the Rapid Application Development Framework, the RAD framework, and it enables us to create these applications in record time. I mean, you're creating an app in a day, no problem. You can even push it to create 2 to 3 apps per day, depending on the complexity of the application. So I'm gonna walk through that framework and what that looks like, and how you can leverage your existing skill set with Azure OpenAI. And then we're gonna talk about ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the one technology or the group OpenAI that started this whole mess, right? As soon as they released their public facing chatbot, which was extremely smart, leveraging the latest breakthroughs in AI technology with large language models, it just broke the internet, right? So this is what's getting everyone excited. ChatGPT is the reason why for most organizations, AI is a top-down initiative. There are executives, there are CTOs, CEOs, COOs, CAOs, chief AI officers, all trying to push their team, push their organization, partner with consultants to understand how can AI, like they just come in like, we need to AI, we need to figure out AI, we need to implement AI, dot, 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 dot. And here comes Microsoft with their brilliant marketing right? Their marketing strategy and the way they execute marketing is second to none. And how they are pushing Copilot, and that kind of muddies the waters, right? So the question is, but ChatGPT started that. That's what got the individuals, everyone happy about, not really happy, but excited about AI and the smartness it can, and everyone just brainstorming on ways that you can use it. So we'll talk through that, and then I will talk about. I mentioned this before. Power Platform, how it integrates with Azure OpenAI, RAG and RAD, so retrieval augmented generation. This is a fancy acronym for grounding your data. What does that mean exactly? You're going to hear these terms. So I'm going to try to demystify a lot of this jargon that we hear time and time again. You just reading articles, blog posts, and so on and so forth. So you're going to hear RAG. You're going to hear grounding data. You're going to hear fine tuning the model. You're going to hear prompt engineering, and then you're going to have to be considerate of the token window. And everyone's trying to get a larger token window because with the prompt, you can pass it your own data. For example, uh, Gemini 1.5 is already, I think, flirting with a million token window, a million tokens capacity in their prompt window. So with a million tokens, you can now push your entire Excel workbook to the AI and then start generating AI questions or natural questions against that data. So it's almost like how much data, the size of the token window is the thing that confirms that the ability that creates the capability of pushing a lot of data to the AI without having to do these fancy things of grounding the data or fine tuning the data. So that's going to be a game changer. The larger these windows are, the more you can push to the AI, and the more you can get done with little to no effort with your own data. Okay, and we'll talk through that. And then really I'm going to cover strategies with the different levels of AI development and what does that mean for your organization. And then I'm going to give you an opportunity to follow me and to track me and my team in the lab because we're on this on course to create 50 AI applications or solutions. I want to call them apps. They're actually solutions because they can be headless, they can be Power Apps, they can be Azure, they can be companions, they can be co-pilots, they can be whatever. But we're going to figure out 50 of these and we're going to implement them in 6 weeks. And we're only able to implement this number of solutions in this short amount of time because of the RAD framework. And I'm going to go very deep on that. And I'm hoping to cover this is a tall order. And it took me 8 minutes to even highlight what we plan to do. Now, let's not go into questions yet. Let's go jump into demos. It took me 8 minutes to highlight what we're going to do. So to do it, it's going to be action packed. Okay, let's go. So first thing we want to do, let's talk about Copilot. Let's jump into Copilot. I think this is probably one of the number one solutions, one of the biggest hypes I was in Microsoft Build, and with Microsoft other conferences scheduled for 2024, I know this is going to be a reoccurring theme. And Microsoft are iterating in record time. And there's like, if you can see a big organization, just think about it. If you can witness a big organization like Microsoft with the number of associates that they have, of course they have endless budget, billions of dollars in budget, right? Let's not use that as an excuse, okay? Because the money is one thing, but being able to execute is everything else. So if Microsoft can execute at that level of speed, business to consumer, business to business, what is your excuse? They're bigger, and usually the bigger the organization is, the harder it is to turn the ship, right? So yeah, I mean, the speed is everything. The capability is there. We just have to get our mentality right, our processes in place, partner with those who know the technology, and really help you across the goal line. So what you see here, this is Copilot Studio. Now and this is different than Copilot. So Copilot is Microsoft Chat Companion, AI Companion, and they're dropping it everywhere. So if you have a subscription to Copilot as a user, you're going to see Copilot in Word, Excel, Power Apps, Power Automate, Teams, Outlook, ... like their entire workload. So if you open up this waffle or this app launcher, everything that they have here, Microsoft intent is to put Copilot in there some way, some fashion to help you as a user or to help you as a developer or to help you as an app maker. It's going to be your companion, your AI companion, grounded to the context of that application and its capability, and allow you to generate things in record time. Okay, so that's the user version of Copilot. What we have now is Copilot Studio, and this is where we go as a developer or an app maker to create our own Copilot. So in this scenario, if I go into one of these here, let's go into Ask Nate. This is my mentor because I'm actually part of a real estate investment mastermind. Me and my partner Jenny, we're part of this mastermind group. It's headed up by Nate. Nate is he's very passionate about teaching others. He's very passionate about helping others. He failed. He learned from his mistakes. He built a framework on how to teach others how not to repeat those mistakes in the real estate game. So what Nate does, because of his passion, he generates 3 to 4 videos a day in the Facebook group, right? And he also has an academy, a course, right? An online course that you can sign up for and you pay for and you invest in yourself, But that course probably has over 80 videos. And it's just like any other course, right? Like any other Udemy or online course that you have, right? It's broken up in modules. Then you have the videos, and you go to the next module. You have the videos, next module, What this is going to do is create a Copilot to be a search engine across all those hours of videos. We're talking about terabytes of videos because each one of his videos are minimum 45 minutes, right? So you're talking terabytes of data that you're going to generate an AI on top of. And I was able to do that in a matter of minutes with Copilot. Now, let me just be clear. The media type that you want, especially when you're answering questions, is going to be text, right? So that's the common denominator. If you can get it down to a media type, if you get into text media type, you're golden, right? So we're not querying the AI. Now, Azure has this capability, but let me level set on what this is. We're not querying AI against the video. We're querying AI against the transcript of the video. Big difference, right? And that's something because the implementation and speed and how you do that is different. So because of that, if I go into this Copilot, and I can ask it anything, I can ask it like, what is best, flip or buy and hold, or something like that, right? And the cool thing about this AI questioning when you create these, that's a problem. Hold on, who is Nate? I'm running my debugger now. Let me see. Okay, hold on. This thing broke. It's broken. Track topics. So this debugger is tracking everything I'm looking at. So let me go into generative AI. Yep. So this is my data. It's grounded on the data. For some odd reason, it's not answering the questions. But anyway, I'm not going to debug this in real time. Hopefully this is not, hopefully everything works. And this is not the beginning of a crash demo. But anyway, so this thing is grounded on the transcripts. And these are the transcripts here. And I don't know if I can open these. It looks like it's forcing me to download it. But these are the transcripts here. And as you can see, let me just bring it up. It's launching in a different window here. It's just like any other transcript, right? Everything's time marked and it has, the verbiage and all this other good stuff. So basically, you have to do some pre-processing for this. You take the video, you extract the transcript, and then you load all the transcripts up. So, and this is where we just hire like temps or interns or VAs to kind of do like this manual work until you get it automated. You can absolutely build an automation in Power Automate to where there's a video MP4 and it extracts the transcripts from that, right? Because you have all these communication AI services within Azure, and then store that text in the document library and then create a chat bot against that document library that does this automatically. You can absolutely do that, right? So that's the capability. So you can come in with these co-pilots and let's just generate one from scratch. You give it a name, and then you do this generative AI set. So Copilot. Let me back up. Sorry, I'm kind of stumbling a little bit. Let's back up a little bit. Copilot originally was the rebranding of the Power Virtual Agent. And when Microsoft did that, they added one feature, which was generative AI. But you still had the whole topic capability within Copilot, which is how you create your virtual agent. So if you look at the screen here, I will go into topics, and this will allow me to create different topics. And with the problem that we have with topics is that you have to anticipate every way that they can ask a question. So it's one question you're going at, you have the answer to. But there were multiple ways that they can ask that question. And you had to manually figure that out. And then you will supply the answer. And then if the way they responded to that answer, you would then take them down another tree, another tree, another tree, dot, dot, dot. And that's how we built virtual agents. In this scenario, so you still have that, but the magic is actually in this generative AI. In the generative AI, you can come here and I don't. That's what it is. I don't have the premium feature here. I thought I was running the trial. Maybe my trial expired. But anyway, as you can see here, you can point this to a SharePoint source. This is going to be a site collection to a SharePoint site, and it will index or it will ground the AI. Again, I'm using that jargon. Like it would tune the AI with your own data and documents and all that stuff in there. I don't know if it takes in the SharePoint list data in that site. I don't know if it takes in the SharePoint pages, the content from your pages in that site. I know for a fact it takes the documents from all the libraries within that site. So it will ground the AI with those documents, and then it will allow you to ask questions with those documents. The other option you see here is the ability to upload your own documents. Now, the only restriction here is really the capacity, because when you do this, it's going to store those documents in Dataverse, right? So it really just, you're limited to the amount of space you have in Dataverse. Be careful with this though, because the difference between, okay, I have these documents stored in SharePoint. Why wouldn't I just take these 40 documents and just upload them here? One, you're disconnecting the document lifecycle that you have if you point it directly to that SharePoint list, right? So if people are updating documents, adding documents, this will detect that and this will update that. This is a one-shot deal. So any updates or anything like that, you're disconnected because you pretty much took a copy of the document, loaded it here, and then it grounds the data. Then you can ask questions only against those documents that you have. But more importantly, this is the key. When you grab these documents out of the document library and you upload them here as a copy, in that transaction or in that action, you strip the security from that document. You made that document available to anyone who has access to the Copilot, right? So that could be a critical thing. Whereas if you point it to the SharePoint list, the security on that document where it lives in the document library will carry through, will be security trimmed in the way the Copilot responds to the user. So if they don't have access to the document and they're asking the question and the document has the answer, it's going to respond back, I don't have an answer, or please rephrase that, I don't know, right? Whereas if someone asks the same question who has access to that document, they will get the answer because they have access to the document that has the answer. So that's a huge difference between pointing your Copilot here and uploading documents here. Outside of that, it's really, really, really straightforward. You can spin these up in a matter of minutes. I would give you 30 minutes tops, even if you didn't know what you were doing, just click, 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 testing around, bumping and getting errors, trying to figure it out. 30 minutes, you're up and running. Okay, an hour, 60 minutes, you're up and running. No problem. So this is low-hanging fruit. This is something that you can enable right away. The biggest question becomes, how do you share these out? How do you share these Copilots out? You have two ways to share them out. You can share them out in Teams. You can share them out using Power Apps, which is very interesting. So here, let's go pop in Power Apps real quick. Hold on, let me save that. I'm going to get to that. So if you go into Create, I just do a blank Power App. let's just do blank canvas. Let's just do tablet. Let's give it some gibberish name. So this is going to load up. I mean, this technology is super exciting. And we know for a fact that asking questions with AI is much richer than trying to do a keyword search, right? So here I have, let's see, do I do virtual agent? How do I find that? Is it agent? I think it still had the, I thought it had the old name. Maybe not. All right, let's just try Copilot here. I don't think this is it. I don't think I'm gonna be able to show you this because I think I'm missing the premium connector. Yeah, I'm missing the premium connector. But this is a, so get it when you get an opportunity, pop open Power Apps and look at the Copilot components you have within Power Apps, right? And you can do that exact same thing that I was showing you in Copilot Studio, where you can grab this Copilot, do all the standard stuff that we normally do with components in Power Apps. Grab the Copilot, find the data source, and point it to a document library or point it to a SharePoint list. And then you can do AI questions. Your users can use your app to do AI questions against that. The other thing that you have in Power Apps is the answers, right? So this allows them to, actually, I don't know what this does. I didn't get a chance to play with this. I actually don't know how this works. But yeah, so I'm not going to try to speak to this. But the one I was looking for, and I can't seem to find it, I thought it was virtual agent, or maybe I have to enable it or something like that. But anyway, in your Power App, you can actually point to the Copilot that you created in Copilot Studio, and you can. It's almost like the way that you bring Power Apps into SharePoint. I don't want to call it an iframe because it's not that, but you have like this embedded experience within your Power Apps, allowing your users to use it in that way. Okay, so that's Copilot. Let's switch over to what I think the meat of this discussion should be, and that's building Power App solutions with AI. And what does that look like? So let me show you a couple of examples of some of the things that I put together. Let's go with this requirements generator. Now, as you can see, this is a standard Power App, and I'm using the HTML component here. And basically, all I'm doing when I create a new one is just call this test app. And let's just say email it to, when this is done, I want to email this to myself, if I spell my name right. And then I want to email this to, let's just say Ricardo, right? All right, so once this is done, and here it's asking me to describe the application or the solution I want to create. So if you're a business analyst, and this is the reason why I built this, if you're a business analyst and you're working with the business and you're capturing all that, I'm gonna show you how this whole experience can be 10 times better. But you're capturing all the information that the business want the solution to be that your project team is building for them, right? So this is where you would type it out, and I'm not going to bore you with typing. So I'm going to say something like ability to generate emails with AI for clients looking for solar systems. They need to be detailed and to the specs of the solar system, solar panels. I know, I'm just making it up. Of course, this would be paragraphs. And the way that this would be, and I'm gonna go ahead and submit this, the way that this can be so much sweeter is, imagine this, like, let me just pause real quick and say this, because I truly, truly believe this, like with all my heart. The organizations from 2024 and beyond, the organizations that are going to win within their respective industries and sectors and subsectors are going to be those organizations that are the most creative, right? Because what AI is doing, two things that already happen. One, every organization have access to all the technology. Point blank period. One, even if you're a one person shop, you pay your $20 a month, you have access to everything a Ernst and Young has, a Procter and Gamble has, a Microsoft has, a like there's no more barrier that you need millions of dollar budget in order to get access to this technology. That's no longer the case. So you pay your $20 a month per user per month, and you have access to everyone else within the industry, even the top players. Okay. So that barrier is gone. Secondly, it could be the talent. Now, we're in this gig economy. So you have things like Fiverr and Upwork and where you have independent people who are very good at their craft, who are working as independent consultants, and they're a fraction of the cost as everyone else. So you have access to that. In addition to that, now you have access to the AI. So if you have a developer, or if you are a developer, and I posted this on LinkedIn, I'm really good at C sharp. I have no idea with Python. I'm not that great with React and, C++ and C and all these other ones that popping up are used to be here, right? And sometimes you run into a solution like, oh, that's exactly what I need, but it's in Python. That's exactly what I need, but they wrote it in Java, right? So now with the AI, especially with the GitHub Copilot, I can now know my development skills in C sharp. And usually the only difference is syntax and how do you structure your projects and all this other good stuff. Most of the time, like that's the biggest difference. I can jump into a Java situation and be ready to rock and roll, right? Because I can just describe what I wanted to do and it would just spill it out. I can I can I can take a piece of code that I'm just not familiar with and have it explain what that code does, right? So the AI supplements the skill gap that you may have when you're using AI as a companion. So I say all that to say those who are the most creative in realizing that you can use AI to make a certain part of your process that much better, they're the ones who are going to win. So I say all that to say, to make you see how I stumbled on, and this probably won't give me a good, look at that, just out of that poorly structured sentence, I have a halfway decent requirement document. But I can get much better because with AI, junk in is junk out, right? If you don't know prompt engineering, if you don't know how to get the most out of the AI, um, you're 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 s- you're a disservice. You're setting yourself up with a huge disservice for you and your organization, right? So you should know prompt engineering. And I said this the other day, the same way that you know how to send an email. It should be secondhand. It should be second nature. It should be something that you practice daily, right? And that's where how do you structure the prompt to get what you want. Now, here, because we're building Power Apps, we're encapsulating that prompt engineering away from our user. We just want our user to come up with, describe the app that you want to create, and this would generate the requirements document for you, right? And I can show you like this can be so much better if you enable two things. One, and we do this now, every meeting that you have with the client, really every meeting period, should be recorded. If you're in the organization that will allow you that. I know that some of us are in highly regulated industries, so that may not be possible. But when and where possible, every meeting should be recorded in Microsoft Teams, right? Of course, you can do that in Zoom and all this other stuff. Now, I say that to say, because if you're meeting with the business user and they're talking about what the app should do, and they're raising questions and they're raising concern and they're highlighting the what ifs, oh, it'd be nice if this and dot. You're capturing all of that in a video transcript. And now what I'm gonna do when I go here, instead of me trying to type everything and remember everything that was said or review my notes, I'm dropping that entire video transcript here. And it could be several meetings. Like, what if you had a series of workshops, right? So I'm doing workshop 1, dropping in here. Workshop 2, create a new one, drop in here. Workshop 3, create a new one, drop in. Workshop, da, da, da. So now at the end of workshop 4, I have all these requirement documents generated. Then I'm going to do a collapse. So I'm going to copy all of the 4 generated requirements, create my final version, paste in all 4 here, click execute, and now I get that master requirements document. That's the new way of working. Imagine the time saved. Imagine the details not missed. Imagine, XYZ. So everything that you do when you interact with one-on-one clients, business users, tech people, even your demos, even the demos, record them, because everything would then be captured in a transcript. And now you can use that transcript to do some magical things with AI. With that same transcript, right? Imagine that 4 workshop thing that I just highlighted. I can then take that and create the test cases for that application. The more the company that is the most creative, which is the seed for innovation, will be the top of the heap from 2024 moving forward. Let's keep going. Okay, let's look at this other one. Oh, I love this. This is, okay, so we use Microsoft Forms a lot, right? So you use Forms mostly when you're trying to capture information from users outside your organization. Microsoft Forms is the product for that, right? So what we did, now this should be like a form component. We took those results and we created a Power Automate and generated, we call this micro-targeted email or micro-targeted responses. Because what we do is, let me pop open a sample form here. So imagine this form. Let's see, we got this one as an example, right? This is a very simple form. Let me show it in preview mode. No, preview, not presentation. Preview, peer review. There we go, right? So basic information, name, email, description. Okay, this open text box is where all the magic is. So imagine that, and we all know this, right? Everyone on this call understands this. When you fill this out, you click submit, this goes into an Excel file for the OneDrive of the person that created this file. So we usually go beyond that. We usually change that and say, you know what, I want this to go into a SharePoint list. One, because everyone can have access to it, and and you can start build automation on the responses. So what we do is we make our automation that much smarter, our responses that much smarter. So in the Power Automate I'm about to show you, we grab the name, like everything we need is in that SharePoint list. So we know their name, we know their email if they did this correctly, and I hate the fact that there's no validation on email. And then we take this description and we shove all of that into the AI. And what the AI do, it responds back with the email to send back to them. And this is a personalized email because we leverage this description based on the output or the goal of this form, and we leverage that description, tailor that into that email response back to that user. So every user gets a unique email response. And for a human to do that, it takes hours. For AI to do that, we're talking seconds, right? Again, the most creative organization in the sector is going to dominate, point blank, period, right? So this is what you need to look for. The same is true. So let's look at this. Let's look at this real quick and see what this looks like. So basically, and I have a ton of solutions. I just can't share because I didn't have enough time to strip out client data or proprietary data and replace it with mock data. I just ran out of time prior to this webinar, but I promise you, I'm going to show you how you can stay tuned of what we're doing, these 50 apps in 6 weeks, because each one of these are going to have a video breakdown like this. Like this is here's the case study. This is the architect of it. Here's the technical design. and these are the best practices that were implemented, right? So here, var user messages and all these variables, all they do is set up the messages array. And then we do a get prompt. This is critical. You would never, ever, 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 ever see a prompt inside of one of our Power Automates or one of our Power Apps, right? Because for two reasons. One, you don't need to hard code it. Two, you want to centralize all your AI prompts into one central location, right? So you know where they are, and you know, and you can leverage them for copy and paste too, right? But the more importantly, the prompt is the thing that you're always tweaking. The prompt is the thing that you're always fine tuning, because once you're testing this out, you're getting results, and it's like, oh, the AI didn't do exactly what I wanted to do. Let me update my prompt. Again, prompt engineering is key. Let's look at the prompt and see exactly what this looks like. So if I go into here, this is where we store all of our prompts here, right? So in this prompt list, so I got the note taker, I got the AI buddy, and again, we're disciplined to have each one of these applications to have a unique name. Let's see, and I'm gonna explain this one. So this is a meeting series. This is super important. I'm gonna explain this scenario here. This is one app that have multiple prompts, and it actually has a sequence number of which one to execute in what order, and that's important. I'm gonna explain that here in a second. So that's my confirmation email. Okay, maybe it's this one here. All right, so let's look at this real quick, right? And look how, and this is all prompt engineering. Look how this is structured. So we have the actual prompt that we have, right? And then we have the actual output. And here I'm asking the AI to format this. Sorry, it keeps bouncing. I'm asking the AI, let me see how I can blow this up for you, to give me the response in JSON. And this is critical because the JSON helps me with my automation after the AI does this thing. So the JSON is going to clean up the email. And if it, hopefully I got the right email, maybe they put a space between the ad or something like that. But it would get rid of all those permutations. Like this is regex on steroids. So it will make sure that my emails are in proper format. And then it's going to give me the subject. It's going to decide the subject based on their description and what we're looking to do back to the user. And then it's going to give me a customized email body that's going to be in HTML format, and it looks beautiful and is formatted for email. I explain exactly what I'm doing in the response that it gives me, what I'm going to do with it. So it knows to not do like something weird like reference a CSS file or reference a JS file, which you probably wouldn't do. But you don't want HTML that's meant for a browser, for a public facing site in the email, because the two are different, right? And it probably know to do certain tagging to make sure that it's, I'm gonna say spam proof, but you know how you have those email filters and junk mail and all this other stuff filters. There's certain things that you can do in your email body that would flag that, and all your email go into spam, right? So it knows how to do all of that. As soon as I say I need I need HTML that's optimized for email, it knows that, right? So here, I give it the instruction with the prompt. So very basic with prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is three main buckets. One, you give it a personality. You are you're a content writer responsible to responding to a user who just completed an application form. Boom. Like you give it that personality, because these large language models are trained on billions, if not trillions of pieces of content, right? So now you need to scope and say, okay, I'm this. Let me bring in all the skill sets for content writing and the fact that I'm responding to a user. Okay, I have context. What else you need me to do? And then I give it the instruction of what it needs to do. And then in this piece right here, I give it the output of how I'm expecting the output, right? You can't this is the piece where it starts to differentiate Power App solutions from Copilot solutions. Because when Copilot, you don't get this level of control. You don't get this level of granularity of fine tuning the pieces of the content. I'm not talking about fine tuning the model. I'm saying fine tuning the process itself, right? Being very descriptive on its personality, very descriptive on its instructions, very descriptive on the output that you want, right? Let's look at another one to kind of give you some context. Let's look at, wow, this is a long one. Which one this says? Email note taker. Okay, so in the email note taker, again, you are an expert content marketer. You send an email to a user who attended the conference, right? And then I explain everything that happened in the conference. I give it a lot of context. I even give it a sample email, right? Even my signature, how I wanted to sign off and everything, right? And then I continue with more instructions. I continue with the reading level. I continue things like to make it be more concise so it doesn't create stories and books, because this thing will go crazy and create your entire novel in one email just because you say hello, right? So, that level of control is what you want. And then what the output needs to be, right? So we're very descriptive there. Let me see one more. Let me see. So that's the note. Okay, let's look at the note taker one. You are a senior assistant because I want it to be very detailed at what it does, right? And do things that seniors do, right? Again, this is what I'm looking for: executive summary, key decisions, takeaways. This is how it captures our notes. This is the difference between, you got note taker and Copilot for Teams. You have that. But what if the meeting was not about just notes? What if the meeting was about requirements? Or you want to generate a requirement document out of it. The meeting is the meeting. The conversation is the conversation. What the format of the output and the information it needs to extract from that conversation is where the prompt is. This is why the prompt is super duper important, and you have to master. I wish there was a PhD in prompt engineering. You should have a bachelor's degree in prompt engineering. Master's degree. You got to be so skilled with that skill set that is critical, because garbage in is garbage out. And then I give it the output of how I want that meeting notes to be, right? All right. So let's look at the Power Automate. Exactly how do we put that together? All right. So this is Smart Email. We stopped at, I'm not even looking to see if you guys have questions. All right, so Jenny's there. There's a newsletter Jenny's putting in the chat. Pay attention to the chat. What Jenny Burke is doing, she's giving you access to the newsletter for our Innovation Garage. And basically, I told you, we're trying to do 50 of these in 6 weeks. Every time we drop the new one, I'm going to send an email, and it's going to have a description, the case study, a video of the demo of the application. We're going to get real. We're going to geek out. We're going to talk about the solution architect. We're going to talk about the technical design and all this other fun stuff. So we're going to get real geeky with it. Okay. Okay. So I get the prompt, and then I set the prompt, and then I pin the system. All of this is building that message array. If you don't know what that is, that's homework for you. You have to go out to OpenAI, and don't worry about the Azure OpenAI. Because if you know the syntax on how to make API requests using the syntax or things that are highlighted in the OpenAI, you can do it with the Azure OpenAI, right? But that's what this is doing. This is massaging and creating that message array. And then I get the OCA user, and then I, again, send all this information. I set the user details. Again, every message is unique per user. And I don't know and then I append the user details to the AI. I do a random delay, and then I run the AI. This random delay is going to randomly send a message every 5 seconds, within a 5 to 35 second range. It could be 17 seconds. It could be 20. And the reason why I do this, and I probably need to up this probably to like 2 or 3 minutes, is because I don't want I don't want to be flagged as spam because I'm shooting 500 messages from this one email in a short amount of time. Dead giveaway, right? So you want this to feel natural to the whatever filter you need to go through, whoever's monitoring email. Microsoft could be monitoring it, so on and so forth. So I'm just chugging away. This is me shooting out these emails, and I want a random range to make it seem natural and not just okay. You sent 1,000 emails in 5 milliseconds. Like what's going on here? Blocking, right? That's what you do not want. So I learned to put these randoms in, especially when I'm doing batch processing out to the public. And then I do a get response from the AI. I get the result set. I send the email. I update that user in the SharePoint list that says this was already sent. So that way, every time this runs, it's not sending the email to the same person over and over again. If there is an error, then I'm sending this to our team, to the dev team, so the engineers can jump in and see what's going on. So that's how you do it. Now, the beauty of this, I didn't show you anything that's out of bounds of what you already know. Outside of creating the message array to send to the AI, all these other skills you already have. So you have 95% of these skills already. You just need to get access to Azure OpenAI within your tenant, the key needed to call the AI, and the HTTP request to call it, right? So this is how we set up. Let me go over this Rapid Application Development Framework and how this is set up. Because you notice I don't have an HTTP request anywhere in this Power Automate. And that's by design. Because once you figure out how to make a call to the AI from Power Automate, you don't want to replicate that pattern in other Power Automates. You want to centralize that pattern, right? And then call that subflow, that child flow, repeatedly from your business layer. What does that look like? So let me bring up my whiteboard. And I could have swore I already had it open. I guess not. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, thanks, Duke. Video indexer would be great for that because, so he said video indexer would be great for extracting text from a video in a batch way. And one of the things I'm looking at, Duke, is how to. I'm looking at the Graph API, and I probably need your help on this. Like, we've been looking at the Graph API, and we're trying to figure out that this is let me just pause here real quick to answer Duke's question, or to amplify Duke's response to something. What we try to do, let's say this AI note taker, right? So in the AI note taker, we just want to use Microsoft Teams. Like, we don't even want to build an app for that. Right now I have an app to where this is, okay, this is the meeting title, this is the send the email to, here's the subject line, and here's the transcript of the meeting, right? And then I have a history of all of these that's been done, just in case I need to go back and resend that to someone, right? And then I have this button at the top to when you click new, it creates a blank form. I actually don't want to do any of this because all of this is redundant. And all of this I already have in Microsoft Teams. And on the flip side, I would love to have a meeting, start my Teams meeting, right? And at the end, start my Teams meeting, but make sure I invite the key person to that meeting. And the key person is the AI note taker. And this is just a regular account in my Microsoft 365 org, but it's the one that's primed with all of the AI workflow behind the scenes. So if I invite it to that meeting, and then the meeting ends, right? So I'm at the end of the meeting. What I want to do, right, is when this is done, that triggers something for this AI user using the Graph API that the meeting has ended. And then everything else that this thing, like when you hit submit, everything else gets fired on that when the meeting is ended, right? So from there, it's going to find that recording, it's going to now, and I don't even really need the recording, especially with the latest version of Teams. I really just need the transcript. It's really going to find that transcript, get that transcript, drop it into a document library, and that document library is going to be is going to have a trigger that says when the new item is added, go ahead and execute all your stuff. Now, there's other things that this meeting has that I need. I need to have all the people who were invited, not the attendees, but the ones who were invited. In the event you missed the meeting, these notes are that much critical, right? And then I need the title of the meeting, which I already have, right? All of that, every meeting that's created, there's a title, right? And then I can grab other things like the timestamp. And if I want, I can put the attendance report in here. So I'm just really feeding the AI everything I know about that meeting. And then in the prompt, I tell it how much of that information I need, what to do with it, how to format it, and how to send the email and all this other good stuff. Now, the AI is not going to send the email. The AI is just going to respond with it to JSON. And then because we all know Power Automate, we're going to send the email with that information, and then everyone is happy. This is the ideal state. For MVP, I created this, but for our second iteration, this is what we want. And for whatever reason, we're having a hard time finding what we need in the Graph API, right? Let me give you this framework real quick. This is what allows us to create 50 apps in 6 weeks. And that's actually comfortable. That's not 24/7. People have to stay up and kill themselves to do it. This is very comfortable. This is how you do it. You have your Power Automate, right? I'm sorry, your Power Apps. These Power Apps, you need to identify your UI patterns, right? And Power Apps does this for you already, right? So sometimes you do like a sidebar. Sometimes you don't have a sidebar. Maybe just have a header and footer. Then you play in the middle. Sometimes you have a mobile app, so on and so forth. You want to start creating templates of each one of these. Now, these don't have to be templates like, oh, I need to find a solution and make it a template. And no, just create it. When you create it as a template, just name things generic, right? Put placeholders like put title here, logo here. Like have your gallery. If you have multiple pages, componentize your gallery to where you can have one gallery for all your pages, and it works like a mini function or a mini component, right? So that's the first step. I haven't done this yet. I just go to the one that's close to the UI that I'm using in my new app, open it up, do a save as, give it a new name, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Change the data source, resolve all the red axes that pop up when you do that, and then you're ready to rock and roll. Okay? So the next piece is you need to structure your Power Automate layer differently, right? You need to structure it for scale. What does that mean exactly? So in Power Automate, we're going to leverage solutions for this for two reasons. One, you can separate those Power Automates that are meant for microservices or AKA subflows. And you can only call a child flow if it's in a solution. Behind the scenes, what Microsoft is looking for is that your Power Automate is stored in Dataverse. That's how you can reference it as a child flow. To do that, you just store it as a solution, and we've been deploying to the same environment, right? We just create a solution, add it to the solution, and boom, it's a solution within that environment, and we can call it as a child flow. And I can show you what that looks like. In these solutions, I have two main solutions, and you can grow this to your liking. In the green, I have my microservices solution. These are the ones that are reusable. So I'm going to have all my AI calls here. Again, in that Power Automate that I showed you, you didn't see a HTTP request because I'm calling child flows. Because in the Power Automate I showed you was a business Power Automate, not a services Power Automate. My business Power Automates are tied to my Power App, which is unique to that solution. My services are shared across all solutions, and I put my repeatable items in the services layer. So I put my Azure OpenAI here. I put my ChatGPT here. I put my Gemini 1.5 here. I put my Claude 3.0 here, and ... All my AIs that I'm going to use are going to be here. Which AI do I use? Depends on the solution. And my business layer will know which one to call, right? So if I'm doing social media marketing stuff, I'm calling ChatGPT. There's no need for me to call Azure, OpenAI, right? I don't need those restrictions or those filters or that safety that I get in Azure OpenAI, because when I'm building this for the public to the public, right? So it's public information to the public. So in that scenario, I'm using ChatGPT because I want to use the latest and greatest and take advantage of the latest tech. If it's something that's for business, I'm only using OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, because that's the one that's going to have the private model in your Azure tenant, and it's going to keep things safe. And you're not training that model. You're going to ground it with your data, but you're not training it. And you're not putting yourself out on the internet training the public model like ChatGPT, right? And we're not taking that chance. So this layer here, this services layer, is critical. Outside of that, now these are all solutions, right? Keep in mind, these boxes are solutions. And so this other one is going to be all of my business layers. Let's say business, right? And this is where I keep all my other Power Automates. And so as you can see, so let's look and see what that looks like in practice. So if I go here, if I go to solutions, you're going to get a lot of the solutions that are out of the box, but I'm going to highlight the ones that are unique to us. So you see this AI apps, and here's one thing, like all my AI solutions, I want to put in this one solution, right? And here, I'm going to keep both the Power App and the Flow at the business layer. So the Power App is my UI. The Flow is my business layer. And I may have a headless flow, right? Something that just like sends out micro emails, or send out a micro targeted newsletter, or send out or do updates, or scan the documents, or, I may have a bunch of documents in the document library. I want to create like a document management Power App. So I load up my thousands of documents in my SharePoint library, and then I create a headless flow that runs on the schedule. And what it would do is crack open that document, take all the content, and create a summary, and then save that summary in a column for that document library. So for all my executives, all they have to do, oh, I'm looking for this contract, look at the summary. Oh, this is what's in here. I'm looking for this policy, look at the summary. Oh, here's the gist of this. So those are called headless. I would keep all of those in that solution. The next one I have, which I would consider the magic one, is this microservices here. And in this microservices is where I keep all my heavy lift stuff, even email. Right? Like I want to keep everything here. I haven't cracked the code on approvals, but I want to keep approvals here. I haven't cracked the code on generating documents, Word documents from SharePoint list data, in a reusable way. When I say I haven't figured out how to build it in a reusable way. Like I'm passing it a file, have it do its thing, and then I respond back with a file. Or I pass it a JSON, have it do its thing, and I respond back with a document. Or probably more likely, I probably would drop a document in the services layer. I would drop this document in like a temporary library, and then respond back with the URL of where that document is stored. And then the calling flow, the parent flow, would then pick up that document in XYZ. This is how you need to be architected. You got to have these two layers of Power Automates. You got to have your business layer, you got to have your services layer, and you build in that reusability. Let me show you this other one. And I know we're out of time, and I hated that I just have so much to unpack here. Let me explain this to you. This is important. Lean in for this one. This is for Azure. For some of us who are comfortable, I'm talking to my pro developers, with playing in Azure. Now, actually, that this probably should be wider, because you got ChatGPT. So you should be going in anything like I'm unstoppable because I got a coding companion who is cold-blooded and they know everything about every language, best practices. Like that's how you should be approaching this. But anyway, in the Azure layer, there are three things you should be aware of. Two, one, your Azure OpenAI, right? So that's going to be hosted in Azure. That's going to make available, and this is going to be an API, and you're going to be golden. Secondly, Azure Functions. This is going to be the supplement of what you can't do in Power Automate. And you're going to see a lot of these scenarios pop up, especially in AI. So you're going to have like a function that uses Python. So Duke, to your point, there's already a package in Python that extracts text from any media type, audio, video, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, da da da. Like it's already there. Like there's packages out there that does this already in Python. Like Python, like the stuff that we're struggling with, trying to jump through hoops that solve in Power Automate, there's a package in Python that already does this. And it's been around forever and it's tweaked and it does it flawlessly, right? So you're going to have this Azure function to help supplement. Every now and then, you got to bring out the big guns with .NET and .NET Core, right? You know, especially with some of the things we want to do in SharePoint. I have this idea of where, imagine this, if you're the content manager for your intranet, you have a SharePoint list, you're going to type in the topics of what you want to put on your intranet. You're just going to type in the topics. Then you're going to have the AI. This is why I like ChatGPT. Then you'll have the AI go out, do an internet search on those topics, find the top rank, crack open that website, scrape the data off that article, run that through ChatGPT. It's going to respond back with the article that you you probably don't want to create the whole article in SharePoint, but it's going to give you like enough information, like the summary of the article, right? The executive summary of the article. It's going to have a thumbnail image, right? It's just going to use DALL-E to create the images for that. Or if you're using 4.0, it's going to automatically create the images for that, right? And then and all this other stuff. So you're going to have everything that you need, the title and all this other good stuff. Everything you need to create a SharePoint page in SharePoint. The problem is in Power Automate, from the last time I looked at it, that's hard to do. Pages, right? You can absolutely create documents. You can absolutely create list items. You can absolutely create all this stuff. But I'm talking about publishing pages in SharePoint. But in the PnP SDK, that's super straightforward. Or in PowerShell, super straightforward. So in that scenario, that's when I'm bringing out the big guns with .NET Core and then using the PnP SDK to generate that SharePoint page and publish it up to a SharePoint site and maybe leave it in draft mode, fire off a approval process in Power Automate, have someone take a look at it and then manually publish it. That's where we're going. That's what this new technology allows us to do. So again, as I close, as I wrap it up, this AI is more than real light images, fancy studio grade video, super smart text response, clone voices that sound like people we know. It's more than that. But the media is flooded with those examples. For those of us who are ready to move the needle in our business, for those of us who are creative and innovative, this is the box I want to crack open and look at the art of the possible when it comes to AI. Because I think a lot of people just do not realize what is happening. It's not what's, I'm not talking about what's coming. This is happening now. This is happening now. You just got to get skilled up. You just got to be aware. You just have to erase those borders or those boundaries that you thought you were confined to and step out of that boundary and open up to this whole new world of capability. That's what you have. And again, a lot of the AI, this is one thing that's a thorn in my side. A lot of the AI examples I see like on YouTube and are from people who are from the open source community. So they start with Python. They start with LangChain. They start with all these, MongoDBs and all this other stuff. They start there. That's not us. We're in the Microsoft ecosystem. And we already have access to these tools to allow us to do this now in a safe way, in a secure way within our tenant, Microsoft 365 tenant, Azure tenant, secured by Entra ID. That's where we are. And that's the message. That's the flag I'm waving. Like, beware, beware. You have access to it. Just look up or something like that. Anyway, I got to roll. Have a great weekend. It's a beautiful day here in Cincinnati. It's actually, I think, 72, clear and sunny. I'm actually leave here. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go take a walk. But if you have any questions, oh, yeah. Please do this, because I want to keep you guys. There's two reasons why I want you to sign up for this newsletter. One, I want you to keep me honest, because it's easy for me. I mean, we all have full-time jobs, right? So all of this stuff we're doing like nights and weekends and on our time trying to stay skilled up. I'm going to punch this QR code up. Where is it? I can't find it. Okay, so Jenny has the link in the chat. So just look at the chat, sign up for that form. I think that one actually does have an AI response to it. I think so. So you get to experience that. You'll be able to experience that. But that's a QR code. I don't know if I can zoom in. I tried to enlarge it and then it stopped working. So that's the QR code. So try to scan that. It's very simple. Put your name, email, and address and stuff like that. We're not spamming people. We're all about value add and adding value to the community, right? So we're doing these 50. I think we're on number 8 already. So to do 50 in 6 weeks, I think we had to average 8 per week or something like that. So we're going to start that in June. So the counter starts in June. So we got a head start. So we're going into June with 8 already created. But we're going to break it down, which AI we use and why, right? It's not because, because the biggest question is always, well, why did you decide that way? Or why did you do that? Or why did you do that? And so, those depends answers, we want to answer those. So for each one of these 50, you're going to have a demo. You're going to have a case study, the real business problem that this is solving. And we're going to have a walkthrough of how it's implemented, right? And then I'm going to post these on YouTube, but they're going to be private. So the only way you can see these if you're part of this newsletter, right? So I'm going to post you to a link to YouTube. It's going to be unlisted, not private, unlisted. Private, I think you need a passcode, but it's going to be unlisted. Feel free to share it. We don't care if you share it, but we're giving you guys the top dibs for only those who are part of the newsletter. So just fantastic, and see you on the other side. Oh, India made it. I know you say you weren't going to be able to make it. I'm glad to see you. Pharisee, how you doing? I'm glad you made it. Awesome. Jim, we got to talk. I've been waiting on that email. You have to send that over to me. Dylan, thanks for making it. Awesome. Good to see everyone here. I know there's other people in the chat. I can't see the whole chat because I'm using this StreamYard. Alec, what's going on, bro? I sent you that email, so let me know, follow up, hit me up. Who else is on here? Yeah, that's all I can see. So I'm using StreamYard, so it doesn't show me everyone who's joined. All right. Jayla, how's it going? Glad you guys will make it. Michael, all right. This is a clear day to look at stars, man. You have to let me know. My son had a telescope, and it's somewhere here. But yeah, he was into it, astronomy and all this other good stuff, but then he kind of faded out. But yeah. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. Get out there and enjoy the weather. Hopefully it's super nice there where you are. And this AI thing is real. Stay skilled up. Don't get left behind. I know most of you guys probably already saw my YouTube video where I was so super busy on one technology, didn't realize that new technology was coming, stayed on the old stuff way too long, found myself not marketable and stuck, right? That's what we do not want, right? That's what we do not want. So be careful. Get skilled up. Get this AI thing under your belt. It's real. It's serious. And we go from there. Have a great weekend, and I'll chat with you next month. Take care.